You're thinking about making the move to the Sacramento area, but you want to know exactly when is that optimal time to start looking when to buy. Guys, here's the thing. The year breaks down very differently in the Sacramento area based on heat, school demand, fire seasons, allergy seasons, how hot it gets here, all that kind of fun stuff. So in this video, we're going to go over the calendar year. We're going to talk how interest rates affect when demand is higher, when inventory is lower, all those things. So you're going to know when is that optimal time when you should start looking, and when is that optimal time that you might want to jump into the market. And when is that time that you're going to see crazy demand in the Sacramento area? It's crazy, guys, but it's very, very specific because we are a funnel for various areas like the Bay Area, like Los Angeles, and also we do have a little bit of fire season as well too. And sometimes when you can't see those amazing views, well, the buyer gets a huge advantage. All right, guys, let's get into the video right now. All right, how's it going? The lights are on. All right, guys, hopefully you guys are enjoying a beautiful, interesting week. I mean, we had a little warm weather and now it's getting a little windy. So the weather in Sacramento is an interesting one. We're into spring. Spring, though, in the Bay Area, it's a little bit more cooler. We're expecting some rain. But I mean, honestly, guys, it was really, really a couple of days ago. It was pretty warm here in the Sacramento area. So just a heads up for anyone who's looking to come out here to buy. Okay, so today I wanted to do some things. First of all, half the program, as you guys know, towards the end of it, I'll be running over some of the Q&A of all the questions that came in during, and the comments that came in to the channel. And that's always fun. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. A lot of people don't know Sacramento in general. And a lot of people assume that, well, Sacramento's market's kind of the same as every other market. For me, coming in, what was it, like a while, long time ago when I came in here, I wasn't really, I kind of thought every single real estate market was the same. It's just like you come in, yeah, interest rates, demand, all that stuff too. But Sacramento's an interesting one. We're what I like to refer to as a funnel market. Like, we do have a lot of activity from Sacramento to Sacramento here, buyers buying in or upgrading or moving around Sacramento. But a majority of our stuff, especially lately with all the new homes, is from other markets like your Los Angeles, your your San Francisco, anywhere. I mean, we've been working with people even internationally that have been moving into Sacramento. Everyone's kind of getting the fact that here we have a lot of new homes. People love the California lifestyle. Hate it or love it, California is still a hugely popular spot to live. And for the most part, people like it. So Sacramento is an interesting one. Okay, so first of all, the hot season for coming in here, where you're going to expect to see normally, and it depends if like something crazy happens and we're in 8% interest rates, right? But for the most part, what we're looking at, the hot season is between April and July. Now, this is dictated by a few things. One is schools. And two is people, like, a lot of times they plan their moves for the summertime. They want to get in, then want to go on a vacation, everything too. But for the most part, what we notice here is that schools tend to be the biggest drivers for people moving into the area. In fact, it's probably one of the top questions we get asked to about school districts, which one's better, yada, yada, and all that stuff. But between April and July, normally what we're going to see is an uptick in demand. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people like last year, because rates went up really high, really, really fast around like February and March, people were a little bit like, well, they were a little put off a little bit too. But in a normal market, what you're going to see in Sacramento is that, probably around April, people start calling up realtors, starting to come out and maybe see open houses and everything too. And they'll hopefully try to get something by May so they can get in there like once school lets out in the Bay Area or Los Angeles and get up here. So if you're looking to come up here, what I would always advise people to do is, and you don't really have to, I mean, honestly, you don't really have to talk to a realtor directly or even a lender or whatever, but I would come up here and do a couple day trips. I would say also, if April is going to be your start date where you're going to go hard in the area, I'd say use March as that spot where you're going to be doing your education piece, figure out communities, figure out areas. I think Sacramento is an interesting one, but I think it's not one of those like, kind of metro areas where we have a freeway going around the entire area. Like it's a hard one to kind of navigate. And I always tell people, like, if you're going to be if you're working somewhere on the 99, the 5, or if you're going 80 or 50, just try to guide it basically based on like the different freeways. For me, normally how we run tours for people who don't really know the area is we go 50, we go 80, and then we go 99, and then we kind of backtrack over a few of those places as well too. Because normally what we're finding right now with all the new home building and all the, traffic is becoming a big problem here, or it's going to be even a huger problem in the future. And what we're noticing right now is that, let's say, for example, you live in Roseville and you commute to Folsom, that commute time is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So what we tell people a lot of times when they're moving, stick to a freeway. It's going to make a whole lot more sense in the future. So that's kind of what we do. And like I said, April, July, just expect for it to get really hot. I would say March. Another thing about March is towards like right now, we're towards the end of March and we're seeing it already tick up as far as temperature goes. Now, it's definitely gonna get warmer in the Sacramento area. It always does, right? For maybe about 2 weeks, we're like, over 100 degrees easy. And for majority of the summer, I would say we're like in the 90s, right? So I would say also like just come out in March, late March, and just kind of feel out the weather. Of course, don't come during rainy season, but come during those days where it's like clear, right? What you're gonna notice is, and I mentioned this to my wife this week, I'm like, this is the time of the year where if we get days that aren't rainy, when it's sunny, you're gonna feel a little bit of the warmth here in Sacramento. And I think for me, I would say that when I came into Sacramento, the biggest thing was just the heat. The heat really affected me, and I think it affects a lot of people when they're thinking about moving to Sacramento. So I would say if it was me and I was coming in, March would be the month that I would start getting my education piece done, talking to realtors, maybe talking to lenders, but for the most part, taking a few road trips out here during like really nice weather. So you're going to gauge what the heat's going to be like. For example, if you come out in March and all of a sudden the heat is something that really, really bugs you and you're like, ah, man, the heat. Also, we're coming into, it's early this year, but we're coming into already spring. If the allergies are a lot for you, if the heat is already a lot for you, it's only going to get worse. So I would say that would be a big time to kind of come out to kind of feel it out. But for the normal person that's thinking about making the move to Sacramento, I would say definitely like April to July. That is our hot season. The kiddos, making sure they're in the right school district, making sure the move goes smoothly. People have this down. Now, a lot of people are seeing this and they're thinking to themselves, well, interest rates are a little fluctuating. Inventory is a little wonky right now. We're not seeing a lot of like good things happen in the new homes as far as incentives. Maybe demand will be slower. Now, here's what I found. A lot of people make their moves like, I don't know, 6 months to a year ahead of time. They're planning this move up here. So spring tends to, we tend to get a kick in spring no matter what. Now, the level of kick, that just depends, but you're going to see it. A lot of people have been planning the move, maybe doing the whole job switch, and they're ready to go. And so April, probably see an uptick. Definitely if you're coming here. And then July, normally I tell people too, if you're looking to buy, like I had a couple comments about, oh, we're going to be buying in fall and everything too. The month I really like is August. It's the weirdest thing in our market, and I'm sure it's other markets as well too. In August, when September, and August, like those months when school hits back in session, people are getting ready. And not only school hitting back in session, a lot of times people go for their last vacations or they're kind of getting ready for schools, but you see a drop in basically like demand for like a period of maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending. And you see a lot of these houses that are still either being listed or like have been sitting, and it's such a great opportunity to jump in. So I love that time where like, it's the last push of summer, people are going on their last vacations or schools are getting ready to start and everything too. That time is a really nice time. It's still gonna be really, really hot here in Sacramento. It's definitely gonna be like the 90s, could be even over 100. But at that time, if you can kind of brave it, that's a fantastic time to come up because you're gonna see a little bit of a lull, a little bit lower buyer demand. And if you see some inventory that's been lingering past that, like, school going back and last vacations, you have a good chance to jump into something. Also, that's when realtors go to Cabo. So just be aware of that. So let's go down the months. January, I'd say, is still a rainy month. People are kind of, wondering what's going to go on. January is a great month to buy. New homes also, if there's like new communities or whatnot, a lot of the new home builders are getting, January 1st, Q1, they want to start get going on the sales. And you see some of the best incentives happen in January and February, especially if it's a new community and they're not really sure how to gauge the market. In fact, for Taylor Morrison, when they came out with their last community in Folsom, I remember talking to my buddy Shig, and he's like, man, he's like, we did not know how this community was going to do. So we dropped the prices on a lot of them. I mean, now we're back up, and in March or April, they were back up to where they were for spring rush. But he's like, January, February, March for this community, it was a score here because there were so many, the prices were so low because we were trying to gather momentum to kind of carry us through the spring. So I would say January and February, those are great months to buy. March, depending on interest rates, sometimes March, like we saw, it kind of kicks in a little early and people kind of get that like itch, especially if the year before was a little bit like of a lackluster year and a lot of people sat on the sidelines. A lot of people want to kind of get out and get going and get their house. So March is kind of like a crapshoot. March sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. Our team, we sold, I think, about 4 homes in March. We put a lot of people in contract in March, and a lot of people they closed on their house in March. And so March for us was very active, but I know for a lot of teams it might not have been as much. I know March also, what I've been seeing also this March is a lot of houses where basically the photos were moved around in the same price point and then they were being thrown out there. I'm seeing a lot of kind of overpriced stuff being on the market in March. So I think that that's also dictating a little bit too. And one of the things that I'm seeing also on Instagram, and I'm seeing everyone in Sacramento basically say this, like, know exactly if something is overpriced. Even if a house reduces, know your comps, know your pricing, know your price per square foot, because what we're seeing more than not is a house might have been listed last summer at a very, very high price because maybe the seller had his 2.75 and they're not in any rush to sell. Maybe they're still living there. So we're seeing those houses get thrown back on the market. And now that we're getting closer to spring, because the demand is just a little bit lower than it should be, we're seeing reductions. Now, those reductions a lot of times are still overpriced. So just really, really know your pricing. I mean, if you're looking at something at Grant Bay and it's reduced like $100,000, I mean, it looks attractive and you're saying to yourself, oh yeah, man, $100,000 drop. I want to jump in and grab it. But know your comps, know your price per square footage, know the demand and everything too. Sometimes a $100,000 drop isn't even going to get you in the ballpark of a fair price for the house. So just make sure you know your pricing in this market. A lot of people have been antsy to jump into this market. A lot of people waited on the sidelines last year and they see like a drop of like 100,000, 20,000, 30,000. They're like, yes, now's our chance. Know your pricing. Know your price per square foot. I'm seeing a lot of people get into trouble. Now, where it really, really, the telltale sign is if when you submit an offer, they make you kind of remove the appraisal contingency. Don't do it. That just means that you're putting an offer in for a house that probably is overpriced. Okay, so that's March. And like I say, April, it starts heating up. May's pretty good. June is still pretty crazy too. And here's the thing, for a lot of people that we work with selling their homes during the summer months, especially during spring and summer and everything too, that is the season for all you sellers out there who have swimming pools. That is when you sell houses with swimming pools, 100%. For me, unless we're desperate, super desperate, and our seller needs to get going and sell that house, we will wait. We will wait till summertime to sell a house with a pool. I mean, people are coming out here, 90-degree weather. The kids are seeing a swimming pool. They're maybe coming in from the Bay Area where they live in a condo, and the pool just does it. I've seen houses go crazy just basically based on a pool and a resort style vibe. So I'd say also where you're going to notice too is if listing agents are you're going to see a lot of houses with pools pop on the market. Guys, in Sacramento, a pool does amazing things to a house during those months. Now, July is an interesting one because what I noticed, like, you know, in Sacramento, we have a couple weeks of like fire season. Something crazy happens. Someone's setting off fireworks, 4th of July or whatever too. So just understand that, you know, a lot of times what you're going to notice is that, yes, you might see some fire stuff happen in the Sacramento area. Normally it's around 2 weeks or whatnot. But more than not, this is where it gets kind of interesting, is that like 4 years ago, I was working with this one client and he really wanted El Dorado Hills. And he came up during like, there was a big fire over, I think it was like rescue or something, and everything. You could not see Folsom Lake at all. And he was looking in the El Dorado Hills area that was kind of near Folsom Lake. And I kid you not, nobody could see the views that that house had. He had actually scoped out the house before the whole fire season happened. He's like, no, these are the best views, period. And because he was able to do that, we got him that house and he went in, I think it was $20,000 over like what they offer. And like, if the realtor actually had waited maybe a couple weeks and put that house back, I mean, the best views of Folsom Lake. So understand, sometimes like during fire season, sometimes during rainy season as well too, if you get out there and see a house, I'm telling you, like, I've gotten people the best deals during like the rainy season or during fire season where the air is and everyone's freaking out about the California flare plan. And at times the houses that we're looking at don't even have anything to worry about because my buddy Javier Ortiz is checking them out. So I would just say for you guys also, just understand that like, if you see it's smoky out there and you're like, yeah, it's kind of smoky, I don't, you know, maybe we shouldn't go up there. Majority of people are probably thinking the same way. So always look when people aren't, especially if that's you and you're thinking about jumping in the house and you need a deal. That's when you do it. Like I said, for a lot of people also, and this is a tough one, I know, because interest rates are what they are and a lot of people get nervous about it. When I see interest rates take a spike up there, all of a sudden demand slows way down. And all of a sudden I see some homes that need to be sold drop. That's another thing that I tell people too. I'm like, look, here's the thing. Like now and again, we're going to see bumps and everything too. If you have the resources, And you can actually go out looking, even though it's, the payment is going to be brutal. Like, you have a chance to jump into a house. Now, I'm not saying the rates are going to get better anytime soon, but at least in that position, if you're one of the only people looking at the house, we can go really, really low. We can even add a seller credit onto that thing to get the rate down even a little bit further. So there are things to do, but I would also say for a lot of people who are looking, like, during moments where you think, oh my God, like, we're not going to go up there, we're not going to look and everything too. There's so many other people that are feeling that way. And when buyer demand is low, that's when you strike. Okay. So that's kind of the summer months. Then as far as like July's an interesting one, depending on the weather, depending on the season, depending on also rates. A lot of times what you'll see is people will pack it in early in July, want to go take a vacation, and they're gone. July is an interesting one. July's always, like, some people do the 4th of July thing out here too. Sometimes the weather is super hot all the way till the end of July and into August. That affects a lot of people as well too for coming out here. So I would say July is still a pretty good month. But in July, the only thing I will tell you, one thing is, like, a lot of listing agents already have their houses ready to rock and roll for like May and June. So what I found in July as well too is the inventory doesn't seem to be as good. I would say, like, the primo houses, the houses that have been staged, ready to go, dialed in, they're going to be coming on the market in like May and June and July, early July, just because, like, that's when you're going to get the most demand. Like, I was talking to my buddy Ryan Moyer, and I was like, would you sell your house right now, or would you wait till May or June? And he was like, I'm not sure what I would do. And I was like, if I didn't have to sell my house and I was impressed for it, I would wait till May or June, because you're going to get more demand, and chances are you're going to get more money for your house during that market where you have all these Bay Area people coming out here looking at houses, and they need to make the move in a time allotment. So for me, that's kind of my mentality on it. Now, like I said, again, like, you have to work with like a good realtor that kind of knows these various areas and could gauge exactly activity. Sometimes July, they call it a day early, and a lot of people are on their vacations. Sometimes July is still pretty popular in certain areas. So you just got to kind of know it. Now, as far as like August and September, like I said, those are my months. I love those months. And I worked with a few people to actually get them in homes in August and September. And we wait for schools, and you see it. It's so funny though. You see that little bit of a lull, right, in demand, because everybody's either going on their last vacation or everybody is starting school and getting ready, and nobody wants to look for houses during that period. So that's if you're moving out here. And I know it stinks because you definitely want to, get the house for, before you start school, but you can get a deal during that time, 100%. Okay, then October, what I normally see in October and maybe like beginning of November is like there's a little bit of a rush. A lot of people are seeing all these new homes, and all these new homes hitting into Q4 are like smoking deals. They're standing inventory. Let's go, let's sell, let's sell. So it kind of throws chum in the water, and all of a sudden you see people even looking the resale stuff too. So all that kind of stuff gets people out there looking and everything too. But then towards the end of end of November, or sometimes end of October, but end of the year, weather starts hitting. People don't want to go out there. People have kind of packed it in. Now, the other thing that is a huge factor in October, November, and December is that's when a lot of the spending happens. That's when people are planning their like winter vacations. They're planning Christmas stuff. A lot of people's Q4 and all that stuff too. And also a lot of people wait till a tax extension in October. So a lot of people, if they get to that October time and they haven't found what they want, they're thinking to themselves, you know what, next spring we'll do it, but let's just pack it in. And like I said, if you can find a rainy day in October, not October, maybe like November or December, again, that's the other time that I really, really like. I like it, during November, probably November up till maybe the first week of January is the ideal time for it's raining, it's cold, people are celebrating, people are spending like crazy as far as like at Costco and everything too. Like, that's the time also where demand is low. And a lot of people though want to sell their houses and need to sell their homes. So for me, I love that time of the year as far as if we're getting deals. I kid you not, every single year I've gotten a person into a house during rain where we went in there and we looked at the house. Now, another big, huge benefit, like I said, of looking at a house during like rain, for the most part, is because you can see if there's any moisture in the roof, how like the water gathers, like all that stuff. You're going to see a battle tested house. And for me, I think that that's fantastic because you get into that house and you see where the puddles are gathering. You're going to see everything. During summertime, you're going to see houses kind of like in the perfect shape, right? They're just spring and summer. There's no rain. There's really not a lot of like, foliage or anything too, towards the end of spring. But during the rainy season, like end of the year, you're going to see a house and you're going to know how it does. Now, one thing too, and this is really interesting as well too. The benefit though, I will say, of summertime is that you can definitely check out the AC on the house too. It's one of the things that during wintertime could really, really like hit you a little bit, is the fact that a lot of the people who are doing home inspections will tell you, you know what, because of the weather, we can't really check the AC as much as we could during the summertime. During the summertime, you know what I mean? Like checking your AC is vital because, like I said, it gets really, really warm here in the Sacramento area. So, like I said, there's pros and cons to buying, but if you're someone who's basically seeing a house end of the year, October, November, December, January, and you really, really love it, and the AC looks in pretty good shape, and you get that home warranty to make sure that you're going to be able to at least have a year to, tune that thing up if it doesn't work for summertime or if it's not performing like it should be, you should be good to go. So let's think. Schools, like I said, that dictates our hottest market between April and July. Spring rush always is happening because people plan their moves way ahead of time, and we always get a kick. Fire season, for those people looking like in areas where, you're going to see smoke, like the Folsom El Dorado Hills and everything too, those could be amazing times to get a house with a view, because a lot of people won't have that imagination and won't be able to like see what's out there. And if you have an advantage on that, definitely I've seen that happen. As far as new homes go, I would say like during the cycle of the year, you're going to see the best deals between like October, November, December, January, or February. Those are like the best. Now, what you're going to notice in new homes as far as the year goes is like they're going to start pulling their incentives as soon as they can when like spring starts hitting in and everything too. This year's a little interesting because demand, I noticed it was a little lower, and so they kind of threw back their incentives. But my guess is probably into May, you're going to see not great incentives at the new homes. Now, for all you people out there who are thinking about moving out here and you want a new home, understand, number one, you're always going to get the best deals with the move-in homes. But here's the thing though, when we get into summer, a lot of those move-in homes aren't available. Everyone scoops them up. So if you're thinking about like coming up here and looking for a home, a lot of times the build time is anywhere between 4 months. And if you go Toll Brothers, I don't know, sometimes a year. So just understand that there could be a little, like, if you're thinking about getting into a house before like the school year starts, you might want to start like ASAP, because there could be some build time that you need to wait for if you're looking for a specific model or home in the new home stuff. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as rates, one thing that I've been noticing more than not about our market and real estate just in general is rates are a huge driver. Numbers are moving market, whether it's inventory, whether it's rates, whether it's anything. Rates are a big one. So I'd say also keep very in tune with the rates. I wouldn't say necessarily let that ruin your experience, but understand that when rates pop up a little bit, demand is going to be low. When rates drop down, it's just going to be, demand is going to increase. And that's just kind of what we normally have seen during the course of like our market. And that's probably nationwide. The other thing too is I'd say kind of heat waves, they do occur in Sacramento. So just be cognizant of the fact that during the heat, a lot of people do not want to go looking for homes. And if you're one of the brave few, you could benefit. And also that there is a fire season here in Sacramento. And just keep in mind that yes, it's not great. The air quality is not fantastic, but it does pass and we get on with our lives. And some people score on great deals. Also, as far as allergies, I think this probably is the best time to test your allergies out as far as in Sacramento goes, like spring and everything too. In fact, the funny thing, not funny, but my eyes started watering because we started using the whole house fan, and all of a sudden my eyes were hitting me, and it was all about the allergies. So hopefully that kind of broke down a little bit about like the buying in Sacramento. Like I said, like our hot season is not only dictated for schools locally, but it's dictated because a lot of people from the Bay Area, Los Angeles, a lot of people are moving into Sacramento and they need to get those schools going. So if you guys have any questions about exactly timing, as far as like demand, as far as inventory, as far as rates, as far as seasonality, let me know. And again, at the end of the day, guys, this is everything that I told you isn't to say you should buy right now or buy tomorrow or buy the next day. As we always say on this channel, time your life. Do not time the market. But at the same time, I would say keep these things in mind. If you're coming up here in July, it's probably going to be pretty hot. And if you see a house with a pool, that's always what you wanted, a house with a pool. Shop for it in December. Trust me when I say this, a lot less people are going to be looking for it. Okay, so let's get in with some of the Q&A. If you guys have anything at all, let's go. We got a couple comments here. Let's go Lake Tahoe. My buddy's in Lake Tahoe doing fantastic. Matt Barber, when the new studio happens, I got to have Matt on the show as well too. Matt is a rock star. If you guys are looking for a lender, if you're looking for someone who can run numbers for you for investments, he does everything underneath the sun. He does a lot of multifamilies. He works with a lot of our investor clients to basically calculate out numbers and see if stuff works. Now, what we're seeing more than not in our market is we're seeing a lot of cash buyers come up and buy some of the resale homes that have been sitting. So Matt's my boy, and he's really amazing about that stuff too. All right. What do you think about Kavnanian? You know, they're an interesting one, right? I do think right now, oh, and by the way, just for you, give me 2 weeks and I'm going to do a amazing video on Rancho just for you. And I know I've been listening to your comments too. I promise you 2 weeks, we're going to talk about Rancho. We're going to talk all about the different areas of Rancho as well too. And we're going to focus in on the Rancho part where all the new homes are as well too. We're going to talk to all the builders. We're going to go Tri-Point. We're going to go Woodside with K-Hov, Lennar. We're going to hit them all because I got your comment. It's just that I'm waiting for the drone footage to come in, but I promise you, I will do another video about Rancho currently to give you a little bit of an insight because I know you've been specifically waiting for that. Okay, what do you think about K-Hov? I like K-Hov. I think they're good. I think I tell people this all the time. Like they have in Rancho specifically the best incentives of any builder that I've ever seen. I don't know how. I don't know how it happens, but if you're someone who's saying to yourself, I want a house. And as far as build quality, I'd say like as far as what they offer, it's usually around a 7 or an 8. I'd say like maybe a 7-ish, you know, as far as build quality goes and everything too. A lot of the clients we've moved in have been in K-Hov and they absolutely love their homes. But I'll tell you this straight up. A lot of times we go to those homes based on their incentives. They have the best incentives. Like I said, in October, they're running a 3.49 or something. I mean, there's no one who touched them. So as far as incentives, as far as that kind of home, I would say like that's what K-Hov is good for. Like I think K-Hov is nice. Like I said, for me, if I was rate conscious, if I said to myself, I don't want to pay like a 6% or 7% interest rate and I want to buy more house, I think K-Hov is good. And I think they have a good reputation. But also what I noticed though is some of their, like, for example, I love Sagebrush. I thought Paseo was pretty good, but I didn't like the fact that there wasn't a lot of backyard. I think that their build quality is like above DR Horton, above KB, above Lennar. I think K-Hov probably, I think Tri-Point, their quality is a little bit probably like I give them, if K-Hov is a 7, I give Tri-Point maybe a 7.5, give Woodside maybe a 7.5, depending on when they build. I think Woodside, when they build over $1 million, they're new to that market, right? The other one too, I'd give a 7.5 to in that area, maybe even an 8 would probably be like Elliott out there as well too. But again, I saw this really, really like affordable kind of Elliott community there. And for me, I gave that one maybe a 5.5. So that's kind of how I'd go for K-Hov. A lot of people like their houses in Rancho Marietta. A lot of people have told me their houses that they were building. I don't know if you remember this community. It was over in Lincoln. God, what was it? I did videos out there a while ago, and they went super, like, I mean, we're talking panoramic sliders. We're talking fireplaces all the way up. So I think they kind of play to the areas as well too. And as far as what they're doing, I think they have different levels of building as well too. I think in West Roseville, you saw some of their, I think it was Firefly out there. You saw some of their communities out there that were more like entry, mid. And then I think the only time I've really seen them build in the area where I would say is a little bit higher is Rancho Marietta and the community they did in Lincoln. That was kind of below the Taylor Morrison community. But I think they're, you know, I think for, you know, having great incentives and for having that quality, I think that they deliver both things, an amazing incentive and a product that you can say like, this is a good home. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Hopefully that helped. Mark, when you have a moment, I would just love your thoughts about the house I forwarded you. Please say, oh yeah, no problem, Wendy. Yeah, I apologize. I will talk to you and I'll probably send you a text after I get off the show. Let me take a look at this house. I'm probably going to swing by it tomorrow, actually, also, after I drop my daughter off. So I want to kind of take a look at it for you. The Fair Oaks house. Okay. Boom. Zillow is saying to expect a drop in prices for Sacramento in 2025. Fake news or usually on the money? got into it from the latest revenge. You know what's the funniest thing? If you watch the guy, the Reventure guy, right? A video he released like 2 days ago, it showed like all these markets crashing, and then he showed an arrow in California where everyone's moving to, and it was kind of like the Sacramento area, which is funny. I mean, he doesn't never gives love to Sacramento, but he never talks smack about Sacramento as well too. So it's interesting. I think here's the thing with Sacramento. I think it's an interesting one. I think, like I said, I think there's stuff that's overpriced. I think people are kind of freaked out about home insurance, so it's keeping them out of certain areas. I think that for some reason, the lower price, the more affordable homes, like the fours, the fives, that usually like fly off the shelves, are doing a little bit. They're not going as quick, and I think our market right now that is kind of like pushing us in is probably like, pardon me, probably like 550, 850s. Like those tend to be really, really good. I think that as far as the resale stuff in Sacramento, one of the things that I would say be very cognizant of is I'm seeing things that are reduced, and I'm looking at them going like, yeah, you reduced it, but it's still nowhere close to like, a floor plan that just sold 2 weeks ago that was like $50,000 less than you're trying to sell the home for. So I don't know. I think that, you have to know the pricing in Sacramento. I love our area. I just think right now that sellers might be a little bit reaching as far as the pricing goes. And don't get me wrong, there's still houses that are flying. Like the houses that we just sold this month, they flew. No, correction. The Carmichael house took a little while because that was a more expensive home, but everything else it went pretty fast. So I'd say the most was probably 2 weeks for Gold River. Then it was about 2.5 weeks for Carmichael, and the one in Rancho we went in 1 week. So things were moving. As far as what you're thinking, as far as prices going down, I do think that we'll probably see a little bit of an increase in Sacramento in general. But I think we're looking like maybe 2 or 3%. I don't think it's going to be anything like blippy. I don't think it's going to be anything like people are going to cash in. And I think for some areas in Sacramento, I think some areas are soft right now. Like the Arden area, I think is soft. East Sacramento, I think is a little soft. Land Park, all the Sacramento proper areas, I think are kind of soft. So, I think depending on where you're looking, you might get a break. I mean, we just put someone into a house in Roseville in Crocker Ranch. I mean, it was a gorgeous house. I mean, pool, jacuzzi. The house is like 3,700 square feet, and they went in for like, I think it was $1,050,000, which to me was a smoking deal, because a house like that during summertime, I mean, I would have said like that's over 1.1 easy. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very area specific. And the other thing too that's crazy for me is like the new homes, right? They pulled out so many incentives, and then new homes started hurting, and now they're throwing the incentives back out there. So I also think per builder, per area, you just have to be very, very in tune. I think one of the things also we're noticing is in Elk Grove, there's like more builders. Like, okay, here's what I mean. In Rancho, for example, right? I think KHOV is building a lot of communities, right? So they all of a sudden, I get calls from a lot of the salespeople at KHOV saying, we're having a great rate, promotion, everything too. They're very good about that, right? So they're very good about the idea of them saying, you know what, we have additional inventory, so we also have additional incentives so that we can sell more of these homes. But one community that I liked, but I think that they're overpriced a little bit, and I think it'll be interesting to see how they do, is Beezer in Rancho as well too. I think that, the location of Beezer and everything too, that's going to be an interesting one. But I think that I'm kind of curious how Beezer is going to do. Like, I like Beezer. I think Beezer's a good builder. But I do think that there are some communities that are going to hit the mark, and I think some won't. I think like Arbor over in Elk Grove, I know they're hurting a little bit right now, whereas Taylor Morrison is doing fantastic. Even their new one, Madera Greens, is doing great as well too. So I think it's going to be very much like community specific, area specific, and everything too. So I would just say, start looking at the market, looking at the neighborhoods you like. I mean, if you pick maybe 5 neighborhoods, you might see one that's very, very soft. And I think that could be beneficial to you. You might see reductions over there too, and you might be able to jump in. Now, one of the things I like about the Sacramento market, and I know I always talk about this, but I'll say it again. Like, I think right now people feel that economic uncertainty. I think we feel like every single day something new is going to happen. And I think that just doesn't make us feel like we really want to buy a house. So I think that one of these things that I like about our area is the state jobs. I like the idea that we have a lot of medical as well coming in, like the stuff that's going on Folsom Ranch. I like also the fact that we have a lot of new home communities. I just wish they would be a little smarter as far as about their incentives and just maybe have solid incentives all year long. The only one who really does that is Meritage. So I give them full props as far as that goes. But I think if you're looking for a deal in Sacramento, I think you can find it. It's just going to be very, very area specific. I think like Granite Bay, for example, I think Granite Bay is a hot market right now too. But I do see some houses being thrown on the market that are fixers. Like, who wants $1 million fixer that, you know, you could probably get a deal with as well too. I also think it's assessing the seller situation. You know, like I always tell you guys on this channel, I'm always like, you know, for me, straight up, if I'm in a house and I see that there's no furniture, I know that the carrying costs have got to be expensive on a house. I know they're hurting, and I know we can go really, really low. But if a house is lived in and the couple, you know, the people living there don't really look like they're in any rush to move, my guess is they're probably those 2.75ers. They're saying, look, we don't have to sell our house. We want to sell our house. And then I don't think you're going to get a good deal on that house. So I think, you know, working with the right realtor, strategic, and just kind of sensing the situation is going to be vital as well too. But I do think, yeah, I think you could definitely get deals in this market during the course of this year. You just have to really be able to read the market. And the other thing that I tell people all the time is, like, don't be afraid to go low with your offers. Like, every realtor, you know, and not being brutal, but like, you know, a lot of realtors are like, you know, like my buddy Ryan Moyer, he was telling me about this one house in El Dorado Hills. And he was like, you know, I called up the listing agent and I was like, you know, well, I saw you did a reduction. My client likes this house and we're thinking about submitting. The first thing that lady said was, you know, we don't want any low offers. And he was like, well, you know, at the price you're at right now, do you think it's going to appraise? And she's like, I don't know. So I do think that there's a lot of weird stuff happening in the market, but working with a realtor that actually can assess properties, like figure out exactly if it makes sense. And like I said, one thing, even if you don't work with our team, and that's fine, be very, very wary that, like, even if something was reduced in price, it's like the thing when you go like shopping, right? You're going to see something like a pen and it was for $200 and it was reduced to like 150, but its value was 100. So just be very, very careful about seeing something that was reduced, thinking that it's a smoking deal and not being able to assess the market to realize that it's still pretty high price. So that's what I'm seeing more than not in our market. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. All right. Boom. Is Citrus Heights getting softer? Citrus Heights, the thing about Citrus is right now, Citrus is usually always on fire, but it is a little softer. I will tell you that. For some reason, the price point in Citrus, especially like the 4s and the 5s in Citrus, I've seen that stuff be a little softer right now, right? Not as soft as some of the stuff in Sacramento proper, but I have seen it softer right now too. For some reason, and I can't really explain it. And I was talking to my buddy Corey as well too, like 450s and 550s, like, you know, the more affordable price points, those aren't moving as fast as, and that's usually the bread and butter of our market. Those are your first time home buyers. Those are your investors. That's what basically makes or breaks the Sacramento market. And that market is very, very sluggish. Like I said, that medium tier, you know, like the 550 or 600s to like 850, though, that's right now the juggernaut, like leading our market. The you know, more affordable price point, it's still a little sluggish. And I would even say like the luxury market right now, completely sluggish right now as well too. Unless of course you're priced aggressively and you're ready to go. Like we did with that Carmichael house, we priced super aggressively. Like here's one of the things that we find more than not. If you have a relationship and you trust your listing agent and everything too, like there's always going to be a strategy to get you to the price you want to be at. But you have to also be very realistic about your pricing. It does no one any good if, like, for example, you list your house for $1 million, it's worth 900, and you're going to be like leaving your house for the open house. You might have to fix some stuff up without a realistic price on your house. It's probably more than not going to sit, and it's going to be a waste of everybody's time. So for me, I'm a big fan of like very much aggressive pricing, knowing what's realistic in this market, and not wasting people's time as far as homes go. You know, like for example, like let's say you do get an offer for $1 million for a house that's maybe valued at 900, you're going to run into appraisal issues more than not. And then normally like that's going to be not a good thing for anyone. And that just doesn't put a good taste in anyone's mouth as well too with a transaction, whether you're the buyer's agent or whether you're the selling agent. All right. There we go. Boom. All right. Also, is there any city around Sacramento which is not allowing building duplexes, inevitably driving duplexes prices up versus newer homes? Let me see that again. Also, is there any city around Sacramento which is not allowing building of duplexes? I mean, here's the thing about Sacramento proper. If anything, what I notice about Sacramento proper, like, areas like Rosemont, areas like, Sierra Oaks you might have some issues over there too. But a lot of the times in like, if you're looking for that kind of stuff, like, and you're looking for to, build up duplexes or anything too, honestly, like I love the Rosemont, the College Glen area because it's close to Sacramento State. Like I said, like the market, usually all the kids, you eat up all the rentals and the rental inventory is pretty good there. I like that area specifically. So for me, like that's where I would kind of focus in on. As far as newer homes, if I was an investor, I know the newer homes for a lot of investors are like, less problems. Newer homes are great, all that stuff too. Like, I just think the thing about new homes is that Melrose. The Melrose is literally the kicker that doesn't make. We've worked with a lot of investors with new homes. And don't get me wrong, like, I do think that there is a benefit of having a brand new home. Um, I do think so. But I think also at times what we've been noticing, especially with my buddy Matt Barba, is that we'll run numbers and the Melrose is that one little piece of the puzzle that's not allowing the property to pencil. Whereas if you moved into like a College Glen or a Rosemont, you got yourself a 3 and 2 for maybe 420. Doesn't look as pretty, yes. Great location, like what, 15 minutes to downtown near Sacramento State. Like that pencils a lot easier than some of the new homes. So that's what I'll say. All right. All right, Letitia, how do you think the new FHA law will change the Sacramento market? I think right now what I'm finding is that normally lenders will still lean into conventional. I think this new FHA law, I think what you're going to notice too now is because one of the things I did see with the new home, especially with like KHOV, just mentioning them straight up, is they were they leaned heavy into the FHA. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. What do you think? What do you think it's going to do to the market? Because for me, I still think conventional is still going to be the main thing everyone leans into. I think conventional just makes more sense. Even though FHA's, the rates are lower, I still think conventional is still going to be it. And also, I'll bring on maybe Matt next week and we can talk into this because I think it's going to be interesting to see how it affects us. All right. This may be an odd question, but do you only work with certain price ranges and which areas and counties do you work in? Oh, no, honestly, we work with any price range. We're not very like, how can I say, we're not very like, we work basically based on the idea that whether you're buying like a $300,000 home or $3 million home, it's a huge purchase for the person. And we're all hands on deck, like we're more about just like making sure that you get an amazing home. And that's our main thing. So for us, that's kind of how we operate. I mean, we've even sold houses in the Bay Area as well too. So our main thing is to make sure that you guys are happy, whether it's a $3 million home, $300,000 homes. I mean, we've sold like everywhere also. Like, okay, here are the areas we've sold. We sold in Oakland. We've sold in Marin. Where is it? We sold in San Jose. Those are the Bay Area areas that we sold. We're going to be listing a property, a 72-acre property in Guayanda. Michelle just closed one on Pilot Hill, and we got another listing in Pilot Hill. We've done Folsom, we've done Grant Bay, we've done El Dorado Hills, Rockland, Roseville, Newcastle, Auburn. We go pretty much everywhere. Davis, Woodland. We're going to have a listing in Woodland as well too. So we cover a lot. My team is comprised of myself and 4 other people as well too. So we kind of are pretty much spread out. Now, with any transaction we do, with any listing or when we work with buyers and anything, there's always 2 of us on a transaction. So it's usually me and someone else, and we run the transaction together. So that way you have kind of redundancy when you're working. So we cover a wide gambit. And honestly, I'll tell you something. I do think in the latest market and the way everything, I truly deep down believe that like realtors who are just neighborhood specialists, I think with the advent of like all the statistics you can find online about neighborhoods, I think the neighborhood specialist, like I've seen this before, like we run into someone and they're like, oh my God, we moved into the area and we moved into Citrus Heights. We reached out to a realtor and they knew Citrus Heights, the Fair Oaks area, but they didn't know East Sacramento. and we ended up selling their home in Citrus Heights and moving to me Sacramento because they didn't know the different areas. Like one of the benefits that we like to bring to the table is the fact that we'll talk to you a little bit. And if you guys have been on a phone call with us, you'll know one of the first questions we do is like, what's your lifestyle? What do you like? Like, what are you trying to do here? What house styles? What is your thing? And then all of a sudden someone might go, you know what? I really like to golf, so I'm thinking about maybe Serrano. Okay. Have you thought of Whitney Oaks? Have you thought of like, Catavadera? I mean, other areas that a lot of realtors might not really be familiar with. We've actually sold in those areas and we've actually put in like, listings and buyers and new homes. So for us, like, that's one of the things that for me, if I was moving into the area, that's one of the things that I would want. I wouldn't want just that neighborhood specialist who's like, I know Rockland. That's it. And they kind of maybe do the, smoke and mirror thing for, oh yeah, Folsom. Yeah, I know. Yeah, let's go to Folsom. But they just don't know the area that well to give you a realistic Pepsi challenge on the areas. For me, if someone goes like Serrano, what's the difference? You've seen my videos, guys, hopefully out there. You've seen how we can compare and contrast almost every single area. We can go Elk Grove versus Folsom versus Roseville. So for me, every video that I ever do on this channel, I say to myself, like, if I was moving in here, what would I want in a realtor? What would I want in a team that was working with me to find me a place? One is I'd want someone who had experience in all the various areas, right? I'd want someone who knows the difference between like Rockland and Roseville, or Roseville, West Roseville, East Roseville, Central Roseville, or someone who knew the various communities in like Granite Bay, which are the ones that are, where you're on the California Fair Plans, which one aren't. Or like if you look at Pilot Hill and you say to yourself, is that too far away? Am I going to be in trouble? Like all those things really, really would interest me. And they would make me feel very much like if I settled on a spot, I wouldn't feel like I didn't see everything. Right. And so for us, that's kind of one of the things that we really like to bring to the table is the idea that, relocations is the area we kind of focus in, because a lot of people come into Sacramento and they're thinking, all right, Sacramento's hot, flat. It's usually a spot that we stop on and get In-N-Out burger on the way to Tahoe. But I mean, Sacramento is so crazy, like different in different areas. I mean, Elk Grove comparison to like, I don't know, Whitney Ranch. Then you got like Whitney Oaks. Then you got like, Catavadera. Then you got 12 Bridges. Then you got like, I mean, there's so many different areas. Even in Elk Grove, I mean, look at the difference between like the 624, the 757, the 758. So for me, at least, like, I think that if you are coming into Sacramento, you definitely need a team that knows a lot of the area. Like for example, like sometimes we'll get a person coming into the medical facility or medical field and they're working at UC Davis and they're asking us, like, I'm thinking about either buying in Davis or buying in East Sacramento. And it's like, it's good to work with people that actually have experience in both areas instead of saying, oh, I don't really know Davis. Let me send you to a Davis realtor. Like you want that person who can give you that like vantage point and say like, here are the pros and cons. Here are the people we've moved in here. These are the people we've moved there. Or like in Rockland, for example, we worked with this one doctor and he was like, look, I love Rockland, like, but I need to be closer to the 80. So we were like, okay, the lake communities out there, the Tim Lewis ones, and it worked perfect for them. So I'd say like knowing Sacramento, and Sacramento is like, I'm telling you guys this, it's so similar to LA in the fact that it's so vast. This isn't one of those like, oh yeah, hop on a transit and get from one area to the area. You're driving everywhere. It's just so spread out and so different that you really, when you're coming into this area, you need to how to kind of say like dissect it. So you see every different area, every different part, and you can kind of feel out exactly what's coming to the area and all that stuff. Like it, I'm telling you, from someone who moved into this area and then started exploring it, like it's just a lot to take in and you really need someone to kind of be your like tour guide. So that's all I'll say about that. All right, let's get into some more questions. I think it make it hard for multi-generation. Let me see if I can speak. I apologize for that. All right. Oh, by the way, guys, this show is live, so it's not one of those produced videos. And hopefully you guys are enjoying it. If you are, smash that like button. I'd appreciate it. All right. I think it'll make it harder for multi-generational buyers that are buying together with their parents. Just a thought. I think right now, my straight up thought about like buying a home in general is that One is I think Sacramento, like not comparison to LA, not comparison to Sacramento, but I think Sacramento right now is becoming is not really affordable like it was before. I don't think affordable can be kind of like coined in Sacramento anymore. I think right now what we're seeing though is, and this is kind of one of the sad things, I think that people are being pushed out of the market in Sacramento. I don't think that like I look at my kids and I say to myself, like, hopefully they can buy a house. I mean, they'll probably have to wait till they get married, dual income to buy houses. And I think with the FHA stuff too, it's going to be harder and harder and harder. And I think it's a shame that you know, this is all, I'll go on my soapbox for this. It's a shame that in this country, we're not putting a priority on home ownership for people, because I think it's something that everyone should experience. There always should be a path to it, with a realtor or without. But I think that that's something that I think it should be made easier to buy a home, as opposed to turning like in the United States into a renter nation, which is not for me. And I think that it's a sad thing, especially if you have kids, you know, like, and you look at them and you're saying to yourself, with these interest rates, with all this stuff going on, like, how are they even going to afford to buy a house? So yeah, that's my own 2 cents on that. All right, soapbox, I'm down. How do you know which place has Melrose? Okay, so for Melrose, first of all, like I would say that number one, if you're looking at Sacramento County, all you have to do online is basically go Sacramento County tax checker or Melrose checker, and you're going to get this website. And Placer has it as well too, El Dorado County and everything too. You can actually put in an address and download the last year's tax bill. You're going to see line items that basically will say Melrose, and you'll see exactly how much is a Melrose on a property. That's for resale. Now, what you're going to notice is like in the 757, there's not a whole lot that doesn't have Melrose, even stuff that was maybe like, I don't know, back in like 2000 and like, I don't know, like 11. I mean, it's still intact. So 757 and the newer areas, you're going to see some Melrose, like the Whitney Ranch area, everything there's got Melrose for the most part. So I would say for you guys, if you're looking for spots that like don't have Melrose or HOAs, which I did videos for that, I would say older parts of Sacramento, Rosemont, College Glen, East Sacramento, like the land parks, you know, like certain areas that are a little bit older. Those are the ones that you could look at. Areas that historically were some of the, you know, older kind of areas like the Fair Oakses, the Carmichaels. Now I'm not saying like there's no Melrose there, because occasionally you'll see a builder like in Fair Oaks, Elliott, where there was some Melrose attached to it. Now, with new homes specifically, this is where it stings for everyone too. It's hard to find a new home, a brand new home, unless it's a custom home that doesn't have Melrose. One of the questions I get from a lot of people when they're thinking about buying a new home is like, I do not want to pay for Melrose, so find me that community that does not have Melrose. And it's just a hard thing to do unless you go with like maybe like a local boutique builder. But then what you're going to notice is at times that, you know, you really don't know much about this builder. You're saying, well, you know, like it's Bob the builder and they built these 10 houses. They don't really have a reputation. I don't know. There's not too many reviews. This is their first community or second community. I don't know too much about it. But if you go to one of those like Lennars, the Taylors, whoever else, like you're going to have to deal with Melrose straight up. And Melrose is something a lot of people are like, the second question, okay, how many years? You're just going to be paying it off. Like, don't even anticipate it's going away anytime soon. I mean, it's like, a lot of people say like 24 years, 30 years, they could throw up another Melrose bond on top of it as well too, if they want to add another police department. It's just one of those things that you can't really control. Now, as far as the pros of Melrose, like it's going to help you with your property price. It's going to help you with the appreciation. Because honestly, if like, imagine you were living in Folsom Ranch right now and they just stopped. No more parks. No more like police departments, no more schools, no more anything, no more lights. You know what I mean? They're done. I mean, no one, even though Folsom's awesome, there wouldn't be a whole lot of people that would want to live there. So it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, I guess you can say. Like Melrose isn't fun for everyone. I wish the builders would pick up a little bit more of the Melrose. I think that would be fair. Back in the day, California used to pick up the tab for Melrose, and then for a while the builders did, and then the builders kind of sloughed off a lot of this towards the buyers as well too. I think with all the money the home builders are making, maybe they should be picking up a little bit more of the tab. But getting back to your question, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to soapbox it again. Melrose, new homes, hand in hand. You're gonna be paying anywhere between maybe like, I don't know, maybe like $250 normally to maybe about like, well, I'm in Bickford, close to like, I don't know, what is it, like $800. So I would say if you see a new home and you're seeing one of those videos, you know, I've done a few where it says like affordable and you talk about the price point, be cognizant that there is probably Melrose attached. That's another thing too. If you guys are watching some of these new home videos, understand that additional costs outside of the finishes and everything, lot premium, solar is never factored into the price point that they're listing on their website. What is this? Yeah, solar, what's called lot premiums, and Melrose. So just kind of keep those things in mind. So just a little heads up. All right. All right, Amber. You know, Bickford, the special assessments, aka Melrose, I think it's close to about $1,000 every single month. I can get you final numbers on it, but the crazy thing, and I was telling this to like some clients because we were going up there and we were looking at like Bickford last weekend. I mean, gorgeous houses and everything too. Although, literally, I think I love Toll Brothers. Great houses, but I think they did a brain freeze on this one because the big home that they have, the Etna, which is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Like literally, they have no view lots, so they can build that floor plan, and they found that out after they built out the model. So a lot of people, you know, they go into the Etna and they're like, "Oh man, look at this! Look at those views! I want this house." And you go to the sales office and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have any view lots." Why is that? Well, you know, the permitting happened and we only were available to have this model with a view lot. So just be aware of that. Now with Toll Brothers, I honestly think that if they had built out this community 2 years from now, like I think it would have blown up, right? I think like that whole area, you got to understand like that area, Bickford Ranch is going to be like a true, like, it's going to be just upscale. It's going to be nice. There's going to be like workout facilities. There's going to be like amazing parks. They're creating a little like bougie, like upscale community there. Like Shay's over there, Anthem Homes is over there too. TriPoint is out there. Their price points are all pretty high. That community out there, when it's all done, is going to be pretty amazing. Now, does that mean I'm trying to justify the $1,000? No, I think that's pretty nuts. But at the same time, understand that that's going to be a true like, oh, I see where my money went to. So hopefully that helps. All right. What's your thoughts on JMC Homes in Roseville? I like JMC as a builder. I think the homes in Roseville were pretty good. I will say though, there's this one floor plan that just kills me. It's a single story floor plan. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but because if the sun hits a certain amount of the windows, the AC doesn't, like, how can I say, like your AC works, everything's great, but like you'll see like one room will be like 70 degrees and the rest of the house will be 80 and you can't adjust it. So I would say just make sure. The single story I know had that issue. I like GMC though in general. I think they give the best standard upgrades. I think their elevations are a little boring. You know, I don't think there's really I think they're okay. You know, they're good. The other thing about JMC that really kind of like, if you go to JMC and then you go to Tim Lewis, or if you go to Toll Brothers, is a lot of the JMC homes don't really have that like grand entrance when you walk in. You don't see like the railings and you're like, whoa, like New Home Company does. So I think JMC is a pretty good builder. I think as far as their standard upgrades, they're amazing. I think the elevations, which is like the outside of the house, is very traditional. There's not really like a modern pop to it. I think if I was doing JMC, I would kind of create some new floor plans as well too, because it seems like they're recycling all their floor plans to all their communities. But I think JMC is quality wise, I think it's one of the builders that everybody likes. Like anyone I talk to who's ever gotten a JMC home, as far as quality, as far as upgrades, as far as price point, people are pretty happy with it. Now me, maybe being because I see so many new home builders, I would love to see a JMC floor plan where you walked in the door and all of a sudden you saw high ceilings. You know, I think that would be kind of cool. Even in their single story, I think they need to pump it up a couple more inches. So that's what I think of JMC. I think they're a good builder, but I'd love to see a little bit more pizzazz and some more floor plans out of them. All right. New home incentives are skewing the sold comps. If someone buys a house for $700K, that includes $50K in upgrades and incentives and $25K in loan buy down incentives, they really bought 100%. I mean, the crazy part about the new homes too is just, you know, and I won't name them, but the Big Blue Machine is the one who kind of screws a lot of people over, because towards the end of their communities, they discount all the prices too. And so all of a sudden it skews, like if you bought a house for $800,000, I mean, all of a sudden they're selling your floor plan for like $725,000. and it totally messes with everything in the area. I do think you're totally right though. I think new homes, as far as the incentives go and everything too, and as far as, they won't like, how can I say, they won't mess with the price point, but yeah, I agree with you. Like the incentives and everything too, definitely add a level of not really transparency, and it does definitely skew the numbers 100%. All right. The only ones benefiting from these incentive structures are the builders via maintaining artificial high sales prices, and municipalities via inflated property taxes. 100%. 100%. Like, and that's one of the things too. I love the people that work at the builders. I think, but the builders themselves, I think they have the mentality of like, I mean, you've seen them and they literally sometimes shoot themselves in the foot, but like, occasionally they're just so bottom line driven, and they're bringing in the solar, and some of the builders are buying their solar companies. Some of them also buy their mortgage companies. Some of them buy their title companies because they want every little drop. And yeah, I completely agree. A lot of these things is just basically all for the builders. All right. People in Phoenix are pretty clueless about Sacramento. So go on the Phoenix podcast, try to take their clients, wink, wink. More benefit to go to the podcast than inviting them on yours. Yeah, I think I want to start bringing on other people from other areas as well too, and just talking about it. I just want to see what you guys want to do. For me, I get a lot of people. Like I got people from Charlotte reaching out to me. I got people from Texas reaching out to me, Vegas reaching out to me. So I'd love to bring some people on to have that kind of conversation. I think like one of the things about Vegas is that I heard, and I haven't been out there for this, but a lot of people, I talked to this one guy from Vegas, Lebo. He has a YouTube channel, and he was telling me that in his market, that new homes are way more expensive than resale homes. And I was telling him about our market, whereas in areas like Folsom, like our new homes are more affordable than actually resale homes. So I think it's kind of interesting, but it'd be kind of fun to do a little bit of a comparison. How can I find gated communities in the Sacramento area? I would say number one is probably look for an HOA that's over 200. Usually they'll clue you in on it. The other thing too, and this is a great one, you'll absolutely love this one because this is what I go to all the time for clients. Go to Google World. Google World. Sorry about that. Google World. And actually, like once you zone in on a community, put an address in and just scan it out and see if it has a gate. That's one of the things for me that I do for clients all the time, because we have some clients who are specifically like, we need a gated community. I saw this house, is it in one? So we'll pop up Google World and we'll basically look and see if it has a gate. So that works. What do you think about Elliott at Turkey Creek? I like Elliott in general. I think Elliott is a good builder. I think that the floor plans in Turkey Creek are phenomenal. I think that they're really, really nice over there too. I think Elliott, and the funny thing is, like certain of these companies, certain of these new builder companies in Sacramento, there is actually a Mr. Elliott, which is bizarre. But like, yeah, I think Elliott has some great floor plans in Turkey Creek. I like their community in Fair Oaks as well too. I think some of their community, also their floor plans in in Rancho, I think is really nice too. Not to mention the location of their community in Rancho is like literally so close to everything as well too. So I think Elliott though at Turkey Creek, I've seen their floor plans. I've even talked to people who went and bought their houses, and yeah, the floor plans are great. I think that Turkey Creek Elliott homes out there. The thing with Elliott that's funny is they just don't advertise as well as like a Taylor or like a Toll Brothers. But I think Elliott's a good builder. All right. Get into some questions. Also, you guys keep bringing the comments in. We'll take a pause and do some more. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the live broadcast show that we do every single Wednesday at 7. And if you are, smash that like button. Also, I'll be dropping a video on Friday at 7 p.m. like I do every single week just for you guys. All right, let's do it. All right, so here we are. I called it a while ago, guys. Dance to the sevens. We're going to go low. Now we're going a little bit. It's kind of trickling up a little bit too. I just don't see us getting here anytime soon. So just a heads up. This is where we are. Okay, game changer. Sacramento versus Elk Grove. Okay, one reason, the Drake. If you know, nice episode, sir. Hey, guys, honestly, I think the Drake model tour that I did might have been my best model home tour that I've ever done. The Drake at Taylor Morrison is a phenomenal floor plan. Like, it shows me the future of Elk Grove, that there's going to be like, I still think like Elk Grove in pricing has got a lot of room to grow. I think Elk Grove could be neck and neck eventually one day with Folsom as far as pricing goes. So I like the Drake. Drake, easily one of my favorite models out there. All right. What are your views on the area Rancho near next to Mather? I think it's good. I think it's a little slower out there too. I mean, if you ask me my favorite part of Rancho, like I said, I like the Anatolia area is nice. I think it's very it's very Stepford out there too. I like the Elliott community that's a little bit up the road from Costco. That area I think is a little bit closer to everything. Mather, I always took my daughter over there to play soccer. I like that area. I think it's just there's a lot of they need to develop that area out a little bit more because it feels like I mean new home communities in general kind of feel like you're in the middle of a Mad Max movie, but I think that area if this area I'm talking about, it just needs to be developed out. It just feels like there's nothing close to it. I mean, realistically in the map, you are close to things, but it just feels like there needs to be additional stuff out there. And that's the only thing that I would say about that area. Then again, though, once it's developed, do I think price points are going to go higher in that area? Yeah, absolutely. Connectors coming in, all that stuff too. So I don't know. But I do think that area needs to be, I think that area isn't as in demand as the other areas because when people go out there, they just don't really see what's going to be out there. All right. Which builder has a Drake? I'm curious now. um, Taylor Morrison, the Drake. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the floor plan real quick. Okay. So you walk up and it's like, it has a little cabana in the front. And back in the day, they had a pool room. I mean, but it was like a separate ADU. And then you walk in and it had these big, huge ceilings and great room concept. And then they had another ADU in the back with a huge backyard. We moved in at least 7 people into Drake's and they're amazing. If you go on if you type in the Drake Taylor Morrison, you'll probably see my video. Unbelievable floor plan. Probably other than maybe the Chloe, the Drake is such an amazing floor plan. I mean, that's when Taylor started to kind of, especially in Elk Grove, started to go with the bigger floor plans. Now they had some great floor plans at Vale in Roseville. I called it the Chloe on steroids, where it had an entrance at the very beginning of the house, and at the end there's another staircase, which was great too. Taylor Morrison's got some phenomenal floor plans. Yeah, so I would check it out. Taylor Morrison, the Drake. All right, average Melrose for Lennar new homes, depending on area, I'd say, and this is just rough. I'd say the North Lake area, probably around 250. I would say areas in general. I'd say Folsom Ranch, you're probably looking at maybe between 350 and 450. I'd say El Dorado Hills, depending. I'd say probably around 350 to 450. I'd say the West Roseville area, probably 250 to 350. Anatolia, probably around 250 to 450 because Woodside has that high Melrose as well too. But Lennar, I think over there is a 250. So it's going to be somewhere around there for different Lennar communities. It's based on areas as well too. Areas like Elk Grove has some of the most the highest Melrose. Folsom does as well too. Other areas are kind of satellites of other areas, like Rancho have lower Melrose, except for Woodside and Rancho. And in West Roseville, you're looking at I think now around 350, but Antelope at KB has a lower Melrose as well too. So it's very area specific. All right. Average Melrose. No. In fact, a lot of the builders don't like when I say stuff. Here's the thing for me, I have no affiliation to any of these builders and I like it that way. Honestly, I straight up like it that way. Do I have people I like at the builders? Yeah. Taylor Morrison, I know a lot of people there who are nice, but I'll be legit with you on the builders. It's, I'm, how can I say, my allegiance will always be to people who watch this show. So you guys know that I'm transparent about this stuff. I'll tell you exactly my experiences out there. I'll tell you the clients we've moved into the homes as well too. So for you guys, just let me, you ask me the questions and I'll tell you straight up the answers. And some of them might be a little vague, and it's not because I'm skirting the issue or anything too. It's because I do look at certain builders like a KB, right? And look at the quality of the doors and the quality of but at the same time, KB is also where if you want and you need a 4,000 square foot house and you can't go over maybe 700, I mean, there you go. I mean, that's a perfect solution. At a Taylor, it would probably cost you $1 million. So I do think that you're kind of paying for what you get. You know what I mean? Like at a Toll Brothers, if you go crazy bougie and you're going crazy, $500,000 worth of fixes, you're paying for that and that's what you're getting, if that makes sense, right? I think it's like anything else. Like, and so for me, I don't get any kickback from builders. I don't, do I have builders that we've had less problems with? Yes. Do I run into people all the time in Sacramento that tell me about their issues with builders? Absolutely. And I love that. Also, you guys, if you guys see me out there, let me know if you guys, first of all, like the show, and also let me know what you guys want me to talk about on the show. And if you guys have experience with any builders, like I'll share that stuff on the show. I want you guys to kind of feel like when you're listening to this, there's no kind of like, how to say it, like upsell. There's no like weird kind of like, oh, I'm trying to get you to go with this builder or that builder. I hope you guys find an amazing house. I hope whichever builder, whichever floor plan you buy is amazing. If you use me as a realtor, fantastic. If you don't use me as a realtor, fantastic. This journey for you to find your house is all about you, and it's not really about me. I'm just kind of unpacking my week and letting you know what's out there and what I'm finding and what people's sentiment is. And as far as like buyer demand and new home communities that are coming up, how they're doing, how they're not doing. So hopefully you guys enjoy that part of it. And if you guys ever have a question, you can always call me. I'm always literally on the road. All right, game changer. I'm too poor to afford a house. Guys, honestly, like in Sacramento in general, like I see all these like affordable. I don't know if we can coin that thing affordable. I mean, affordable in relation to what? And it's very subjective. All right. Waiting for summer to move to Sacramento, waiting for fall. Fall, honestly, I'm going to tell you something like, yeah, wait for rainy weather. Maybe wait for December. All right, better place to live. No comparison at all. Sac wins all day. And this is a poll I put San Antonio versus Sacramento, and Sacramento won. Even though someone said Fox says different. Look, here's the thing for me. Guys, if San Antonio is your jam and you want to move to San Antonio, I think that's fantastic. I think, move where you want to move. I would say, though, give me a call so we can sell your house, because there's a lot of people who want to move into Sacramento. Honestly, my phone rings and there's a lot of people who want to move in. So if you are moving to San Antonio and San Antonio is your thing, let me know. Trust me, I'll get a buyer for you. All right. Better place to live. No comparison at all. Sac wins all day. PG&E versus San Antonio electricity rates. I'm going to say, honestly, like PG&E has got to be one of the more expensive. I would probably say that PG&E is probably more expensive than San Antonio electricity. PG&E is just brutal. All right. Real estate market. Hot, cold, or normal? Cold. I would say for you guys, you could be right. Honestly, I've been talking to a lot of realtors. Like my phone, I talk to a lot of realtors, and a lot of people are like, if a house is priced right, it does fly. But what we're seeing more than not is that a lot of people are throwing their houses on the market a little higher than they should be. And I think buyers right now just don't feel very secure with the economy and are just waiting to see what the next move is and if they feel secure enough to buy in this market. All right. 9 reasons you might not survive living in El Dorado Hills. Moved from the Bay Area. I wish I would have moved. That's me. Honestly, that's my biggest gripe. I wish I would have done it a long time ago. Live behind the gates, join the country club, and use Folsom Lake all summer long. Great schools, great environment, awesome place to enjoy life. Guys, I'm telling you, El Dorado Hills, we got so many communities just like this too. We got like Whitney Oaks, we got Cadavadera, we got areas in Elk Grove. Golf course communities are big. Morgan Creek over in West Roseville. Oof, nice stuff. All right, let's go to another question. All right, here we go. I heard they're building a ton of new homes on the other side of the highway 65. Oh, Lincoln is going to be nuts. They're building so many homes. Oh yeah, Lincoln is like, what was it? Back in, I think it was 2006 or something. Lincoln was like the fastest growing city in all of California. And I think like they've got tons of land, tons of building. I've been hearing about like commercial developments being built there. Lincoln's going to be awesome. The only big problem with Lincoln right now, though, is that they need to have more of a job resource in Lincoln. And that's the thing for a lot of the clients I work with. They're like, we like Lincoln. The price point is fine. And the price is going up in Lincoln as well, too. But the thing about Lincoln is there's just not really a big area for like a job hub, right? Like Folsom, it's decent and it's getting better. Roseville, good. Downtown Sacramento, good. But like Lincoln, that's still a little bit of a drive. So I think Lincoln, like I said, they're building like crazy out there. Yeah, I don't know. Any news on Brayton project? Haven't heard a new, I'm going to be probably driving out there in the next couple of days. And if I take a photo, I'll put it in the community tab to tell you how it's going. Supposedly Brayton has already broken ground and they're supposed to have the town center all done by, I think it's by the end of this year. So I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of building in a little bit of time. So I'll find out. I'll see what I can do. I talked to my buddy Vitali at and see what he thinks. Are you afraid to say bad things on certain areas, or are you afraid to say bad things on some builders? No, I mean, honestly, everything that I'm going to talk about usually as far as areas, as far as builders is going to be pretty subjective, right? For example, schools, right? If someone says, "Oh, which has better schools?" I mean, like, what does schools mean to you can mean something different to me. As far as areas, it's the same way. I mean, based on price point. So no, I mean, I just kind of give my general idea of like, and a lot of the stuff that I talk about on the show is based on clients that I work with on a daily basis and their opinions on the areas and everything too. And so for me, I just say it as I see it. Like, have we had issues with certain builders? Yeah, we've had issues with certain builders. Have they been good to fix issues? Yeah, a lot of the builders are pretty good about that. Um, like I said, I think that for me at least, like, the nice thing is that because our team does a lot of new homes, resale homes, and we work in the various areas, if you do have, like, for example, if you say, hey, what do you like better? Do you like the Rosemont area or do you like West Roseville? I can think of 3, 4 people that we moved into that area and the other area, and I can tell you their pros and cons, what they liked, what they didn't like, why they chose the area, and how they're doing in the area currently. So that's what you'll be getting from this channel. So hopefully that helps. And if I ever sound like I'm biased towards a builder, and some people have said Taylor, guys, here's the thing about the builder in general. My big thing for you guys is to understand one thing, that like Taylor Morrison, Lennar, like, they get build crews, they build these communities, work with the superintendent. The main thing for me is communication, and is in your faith that after you close the house, will they be supportive? Will they take care of any issues? Because normally when people get new homes, they assume that everything's perfect. No, no, no. Make sure the community is good, communication is good. Make sure you have a great superintendent, and make sure that you feel supported in your new home decision. It's a big one. What bugs me more than not is when certain builders, certain salespeople, think of it more as a sale and don't realize that this is one of the biggest purchases a person can make in their life, and they don't weigh that properly. So there you go. Off soapbox again. All right. Have you seen the final at Whitney Ranch by Anthem? I haven't seen that yet. I want to try. Here's the thing. I want to do 2 things when I go to Whitney Ranch, which I probably will do probably next week. I have a friend of mine who actually does a lot of business up in Whitney Ranch. I want to look at the KB community. That's kind of like, first of all, I want to look at the KB community. That's kind of like when you get off the freeway right there. That's supposedly like doing amazing. I also want to see the Whitney Ranch Retail Center, the progress on that. And then I want to check out Anthem as well too. So that's my hit list for next week. I'll probably get out there Tuesday. If I'm out there, I'm taking pictures. I will snap some shots and I will put them on the community tab for you guys. But I like it. I think Whitney Ranch, like I said, $82. I think Whitney Ranch is a great community. In fact, with that Whitney Ranch Retail Center, the Nugget, the shopping, I love that community. I think it's fantastic. If I wasn't specifically in real estate and I drove all over the place and needed to be somewhere a little bit more central, Whitney Ranch, I look at that and I say to myself, like, the pool scene is great. The community vibe is fantastic. Golf course living, if you want it. They're going to have the Whitney Ranch Retail Center over there too. A little bit more building happening over there. I think JMC is going to finish up. Then you got Anthem, you got KB down the hill. I think that area is really, really amazing. And I think for an HOA, I haven't seen an HOA in all the Sacramento area that for $82, you also get a clubhouse, a pool scene, cabanas, community events, and everything too. Like, I love that area. Really, really do. So yeah, I'm going to head out there probably next week. The only thing is Lincoln is PG&E. Yeah, Lincoln is PG&E. The other thing about Lincoln is, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this too, Lincoln just, it seems like it really lacks foliage, right? Areas like Folsom, areas like Elk Grove even seem like they have a little bit more foliage. Lincoln has this kind of Sedona, kind of this Tucson-ish kind of vibe to it out there too. Not great foliage, but like I said, it is going to be amazing what they're going to build out there. But I think it just feels a little different than, I don't know, like, it just feels a little bit more like that, like a drier kind of area, even though the heat is relatively, maybe a couple degrees hotter over there, but it just seems like a totally different vibe than areas like Folsom and everything. Just feels a little bit more Arizona-ish, like Santa Fe-ish for me, at least. I could be wrong, but that's for me. That's what it feels like. All right. And they have PG&E, which sucks. There's another price hike. PG&E is brutal. I mean, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, and Roseville Electric is going up also too. That I heard. I heard Roseville Electric's prices are going higher. They were like neck and neck with SMUD. And I hear Roseville is ticking up a little bit too. Guys, SMUD is awesome. I'm on SMUD. It's probably one of the main things that's going to keep me in Sacramento County. It's just amazing. Guys, if you do not have SMUD, you don't know how amazing it is. If you guys are moving into the area, the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, half the price of PG&E, none of those brownouts. My power has gone out like once for like 3 minutes. I think it was last year or something. Nothing big deal. All right, Robert. Are they going to expand Highway 65? I don't know why they are building so many houses when the traffic is horrible. 65. Literally 3 years ago, 80, 65, I got jammed up there too. Car totally just, yeah. Not only is the traffic getting get bad in 65, like straight up, they are planning on expanding it. That's what I've heard. My buddy Tom was telling me that they are going to be planning on expanding 65. But yeah, I'm with you. The traffic is brutal. 65, 80. The other thing that kills me about the 65 and the 80 and then the 65 is there's a lot of stop and go traffic on the freeway. It's just like, and I think that I've seen that. I don't think I've driven in the 65. Maybe 1 out of every 4 times I drive on the 65, there's an accident. So yeah, it's brutal. Traffic is piling up over there too. And I'm definitely not a big fan considering that is where I got rear-ended. It was not fun. All right. Next one too. Is it a good idea to buy a home this year? That's so subjective again too. It depends if your time is right. Like if you're coming here for a job and you need to get a house, I would say research the area, figure out if you like Sacramento, figure out the communities, take some time to like do a little Pepsi challenge between like various areas. I would say no matter where you go, just feel comfortable about the decision you're going to be making as far as knowing the area. Like for me, if I'm going into an area, like let's say for example, I'm moving, I don't know, wherever, like I would make sure to do at least a month of research, communities, schools, like distance to downtown, food scene and everything too. I'd say if you got your education piece done, then think about like your price point, think about what you want, and then just kind of like lie in waiting for that perfect house to pop up. If it pops up sooner than later, great. If you got to wait a little while, rent and get to know the area a little bit more. For me, I don't think you're going to see something crazy happen where like next year house prices went up $100,000. I don't think that that's going to be happening anytime soon. I think in fact, we're going to have more new home building and I don't think prices are going to be going up that crazy unless there's a crazy event, black swan-ish. But yeah, I would honestly say to yourself, like say if it was me and I'm thinking to myself, should I buy a house this year? I would say, do I know Sacramento? Do I know the area I want to live in? Do I know the communities that work for me? Have I done my diligence as far as figuring out the shopping, the people, the energy, the community vibe, all that stuff too? And if all those pieces are right, then I'd probably look for a realtor, look for a lender, and always go for those realtors that aren't just super, super like they want that next sale. Like go for a realtor who's kind of easygoing, just wants to make sure they got your back. And then kind of be very, very diligent. Like for example, we have been working with this one client for a long, long time to move him into Grant Bay. And the funniest part is for us is our main goal is to find him the perfect house, no matter how long it takes. I would much rather myself wait and find the perfect house than rush just because I felt like I had to jump in and buy a house. So I would say long and short, get prepared, get educated, figure out exactly what you want, and then just see and wait for that market and wait for that house to pop up. And when you see it, you look at it. If it's that right time in your life and the house is the perfect one for you, then I'd say go for it. All right. Update. Boom. Too many investors in the too much inventory on the market. I suggest fall time. Better to buy in Sacramento region. Inventory is crazy. Prices are still a little relatively high. So I would say for anyone who's looking to buy in this market, like I said, again, I'll lean into the other one that I just said, like know your communities, know your areas, and figure out like if your area has like an overabundance of houses being sold with the same floor plan, maybe then jump in. And also with the interest rate, it's 6-ish, 7-ish. I just don't see a big change. So I would say for you guys, gauge the market, educate yourself on the market, and then figure out exactly the home you want, get your team together, and then just, maybe it's summer, maybe it's spring, maybe it's fall. But for me, it's all basically based on my life. And if I find the house, it really does it for me. All right. Who's planning on selling, but now might hold off to the market? Yes, no. All right. So a lot of people are still thinking about selling. I think for right now, what we're going to see is that a lot of the people who are seriously thinking about selling, you might see some price drops and you might see some realistic pricing for the people who really want to sell their homes. I still do think that there's a lot of the 2.75ers who basically are like, if I sell, great. If I don't, I don't. All right. Never been a fan of Central Valley. I'll stick to the coast and the redwoods. Yeah, cooler climate as well too. I can't see buying a house someplace I don't want to live just to be able to say I have a house. I'm with you 100%. I would never buy. I like that's one of the things. Like I look at those Texas videos, those McMansions and everything too, and they look so amazing. But I know that eventually that would wear off, and I would be like, "Where am I? Humidity and just not my place." All right, love it when I run into people. Oh, this is so fun. You guys really don't know how. It was great bumping into Sacramento's most eligible realtor at Ella. Laugh out loud. Thanks for doing all you do, Mark. No problem. It's fantastic, guys. I've been running into a lot of people who I guess watch the show. So I appreciate you guys. If you see me, please say hello. I'd love to get your feedback on the show, and I'd love your suggestions on how I can make this even better for you guys. Like this show for me, like this time that I go live with you guys is the most enjoyable social media that I do. I love this. I love the questions. I love answering your questions the best of my abilities and everything too. So I really appreciate you guys also tuning in and being active, and not just for me, right? I love all these questions people are asking because I guarantee you there's going to be people who like look at your questions and say, I would love to know the answer to that too. So understand that you're not just asking me a question, but you're also asking a question that could benefit other people who are thinking about moving in here. So thank you for those questions. All right, next one. Does anyone have a promo code to use for booking? I know no codes at the Sawyer, but I will tell you one thing though. You might be able to get some. I know this one guy, Travel Wrangler. I saw him on Instagram and he's local. He's on Instagram, his name, and he goes by the handle Travel Wrangler, and he's local to Sacramento, and he's got all the promo codes around here. All right, update Sacramento real estate market. Not buying until the market crashes. Housing way too overpriced. You know, like I said, I don't see us crashing anytime soon. I see maybe a little bit of a market like this for prices for a little bit, but I don't know. You never know. All right, Sabo says Elk Grove wins. Sacramento versus Elk Grove. It's close. All right. Apparently, there are plans for a southern extension of Hazel Avenue, extension from Folsom Boulevard towards the junction of White Rock on Grant Line Road. Hazel would be highly limited access thoroughfare through the 50 to Capitol Southeast Connector. I hope the county keeps the plan. I hope so too. Like I said, I want to check on Braden to see how that's shaping up. I know the Whitney Ranch Retail Center is doing good. I got plans to connect with the guys on the connector. And I think Hazel, like I said, one of the things about living in Sacramento is like streets like Hazel that turns into Sierra. They're brutal. Sunrise as well too. Hopefully we get a lot better roadways because as we start building all these new houses, moving a lot of people in, traffic is definitely going to be something that we're all going to be suffering. It's going to get worse. So hopefully we build a little bit of a better infrastructure to get us from point A to point B. All right. Waiting for summer to move to Sacramento. Yes. No. All right. A lot of people going on vacation. I get you. Better place to live. Sacramento, San Antonio. Sacramento, 88%. All right. I like it. I'm with you guys. Like I said, for me, here's the thing. Yes, I am a realtor, but I consider myself a Sacramento enthusiast. I love Sacramento. I love that we're on a growth spurt. I love the job diversity. I love all the stuff that's happening to Sacramento. And I think that, you know, for me, there's no other place I'd rather live just because the energy here is just so good. X Games, the A's, the new Kaiser campus coming to downtown, Whitney Ranch Retail Center, all the stuff happening in Sacramento, guys. We're in for an amazing ride right now too. So hopefully you guys enjoy Sacramento as much as I do. I'm getting a kick out of the area and I love the people here. All right. Who's waiting for lower rates to buy a house? For sure. This winter, hopefully. I'm hoping that we get a little bit of a break with rates. I see us doing the 6, 7s, all that stuff too. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a drop in the 5s just for a little bit. Give me a month in the 5s. I'd be happy. All right. Who's waiting for lower interest rates to buy a house? Yes. Yeah. A lot of people are waiting for those rates because currently they're not able to buy what they want to buy at the price they want to pay for it. So yeah, I get it. Don't move to Rockland. I live in Rockland and I can walk to, I can walk to Costco and all the other stores, hop, skip, and a jump. But if you're in Whitney Oakside, definitely you got a little ride, any major shopping. This will change, guys. Whitney Ranch Retail Center. Ooh, cannot wait. Everyone at Whitney Ranch should be super pumped about that one. Right. I think that is it. I think that's the show for the evening, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, smash that like button and all that stuff too. If you guys are thinking about making the move to Sacramento, or if you have questions about this show that I just did, or questions about the area, feel free to give me a call. Like I said, a lot of times I just answer the phone. We talk a little bit about Sacramento. Hopefully this area works for you, because like I said, it worked for me. I'm very, very grateful that I found Sacramento. I took the time to get to know Sacramento. Sacramento, for me, I think a lot of people will dismiss Sacramento based on a lot of their maybe like prior bias to Sacramento. It's hot, it's flat, I'm not moving to Sacramento. I'll tell you something. Sacramento is the best bang for your buck in California for the California lifestyle. I always say that, but I truly, truly mean it. And I think everyone here who lives in Sacramento, we're in for one heck of a ride with all the stuff being built here. A's, X Games, you know, maybe the Kings do better next year. Like, we're in for a great ride. And for all you people who are thinking about maybe relocating to the Sacramento area, I'll tell you this. I have a really good track record of bringing people in, and they're thinking to themselves, hey, I'm not moving to Sacramento. And they end up leaving, being in love with Sacramento, and cannot wait to get here. So that could be you. All right. Last question of the night. Is bidding war happening in the Sacramento area? Okay, it all depends. Like, this is how it's shaped up for the houses we listed. Oh, and all the way, also, we have another single story coming out in Rancho, almost like the exact floor plan that we just sold. Okay, so the one we had in Rancho, we had 2 offers, and it went, I think it went $30,000 over list. The one in Gold River, we had 1 offer, and it was listed for $565, and it was 1 offer that was at $600. They pulled the offer almost immediately, and we don't know why. But then about a week later, we got just one more offer, and it was at list, and we put that one down. Carmichael, we went into contract for, I think it was like $30,000 under. So I'd say right now, if a price is crazy aggressively priced, you'll probably get multiple offers. Do I think that, like, you know, you're gonna get 5 or 10 offers? Depends on how low you list the house. But I'm seeing it as being one of those things where, like, a majority of the houses that, you know, probably get list, maybe get a little over. I don't think you're seeing that market yet of like crazy amount of offers on a house, unless the house is, of course, at a crazy list price. And the strategy is basically to list super, super low, get a whole bunch of people bidding on it, and go over list or go over what the client wants. That can work at times. But again, if you do that, you could run into appraisal situations. So the long and the short of it is, I think right now we're in the market where if a house is priced right, it'll probably get 1 or 2 offers. If it's marketed correctly, I think it could go over list. And pricing is going to dictate it. But I don't think it's a crazy market of 5 to 6 offers, unless you look at the pricing and go, oh yeah, well, that made sense. That's a $500,000 house and you listed it for $350,000. So I think that that's the market we're currently in. And that's it. Hopefully I answered all your guys' questions on the evening. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment. And if you guys have any questions, seriously, just give me a call. I'm always on the road, always happy to chat with you guys, always. And I pick up my own phone. So that's it. All right, guys, enjoy an evening, a beautiful evening. And thank you guys again. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, taking the time. And that's it. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this live show that we do every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. So you can get a little bit more like used to the market. You can get a little bit of real-time data, which is essential if you're thinking about making the move to the Sacramento area. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the live broadcast, smash that like button. Also, any questions or comments that you have, I will make sure to answer them or bring them up in the next show. Now, guys, if you are thinking about relocating to the area, work with one of the top relocation teams in the area, our team. We've worked with so many people moving them into a resale home, new homes, luxury homes. We do everything, and we cover all the various areas in the Sacramento Metro. We'd love to work with you. There's a Zoom link below, so click on that, and we can set up a time to talk, answer any questions you have about the area. Now, if you're someone in Sacramento and you're thinking about selling your home, or maybe your home is currently on the market and it's not doing what it should be doing, which is getting into contract, reach out to our team. We've had huge success on YouTube, and we show you a little bit of the marketing we do, the little bit of the analytics, the metrics, and how we've had a huge success kind of run right now with all these videos that we've been doing on YouTube selling homes. It's actually been amazing, and we'd love to share that detail with you as well too. And guys, one last thing, there's a playlist right over there of other live broadcasts that I've done to help you get educated about the area, give you a little bit more knowledge. Knowledge is power, and if you're moving into an area like Sacramento, knowledge is key. All right, guys, remember, smash that like button. Until the next video, this is Mark. Have a good one.